Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We are back with another Neurodiversity Stories, and we're here to share more awareness around neurodiversity. Guys, I say this every week, and it never fails. We have had an incredible lineup of guests, and today we have another phenomenal guest. We have Christine Ramsay, who I am absolutely thrilled that she can spare the time to come and speak to myself and you guys today. You're going to really be delighted with my guest today. So, why are we here, and why have I created Neurodiversity Stories? I'll put my teeth back in. So, why are we here? So, my name is Darren Clark, and I'm a global neurodiversity consultant. I work with organizations globally to promote their brands within marketing and awareness for neurodiversity. So, we do this every single Friday at 11 a.m. UK time. We're always looking for more guests. So, if you're interested in joining us and being talked to by me or interviewed, whatever you want to kind of say or share your stories, and please do get in touch. And like I said, we put this out at 11 o'clock every single day, every single Friday, UK time. I also want to say a massive thank you as well to our current sponsors, Clary Software. And I just want you guys to check out this. So guys, Clary Software, they develop assistive technology software for people with disabilities such as print and reading, with reading difficulties like dyslexia, to help them achieve all they can. Their blurb and all the information will be in all of the notes that we do, but please do connect with them and try them out. Fantastic software. So guys, over to, before I introduce my guest, I want you guys as well to introduce yourselves and let us know where you're tuning in from. I know that we have people from Kenya, Argentina, America. I think we've had Australia as well. So if you want to put, just let us know, where you're tuning in from and who you are. That would be fantastic. So guys, I want to bring in my guest for today. Now, this is Christine Ramsay. She's a global leader, speaker, and strategic life and leadership coach, neurodiversity and mental health advocate. And I want to just read this to you guys. This is something that Christine said to me, and I found it really powerful. And I want to share this with you, and I hope I give it justice. So we have the power to change how we see neurodivergent humans and how neurodivergent humans see themselves. In this talk, we guide neurodivergent humans to unlock their inner genius and superpowers through a holistic approach to well-being, which shatters mental health stigma and enables neurodivergent humans to feel seen, heard, valued, celebrated, and loved. So they may continue to thrive and contribute their unique gifts to the world. One starting way is to tackle the limiting beliefs and practice mindfulness and positive affirmations. Now, one, I'm really impressed I was able to read that. But secondly, wow, when I first read that, I found it so powerful. I printed it off. I'm actually going to stick it on my kind of vision board, because I found that was really inspirational. So guys, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Christine. Good morning or good afternoon, Christine. How are you today?
Good morning, Darren. I'm so excited to be here with you. And I was just jamming to your music. That was so cool. I love it.
I kind of wanted to kind of put together some kind of videos and kind of make it upbeat music. So that was my choice and something I created. So I'm pretty proud of that.
6 a.m. here in U.S. time, so I needed a little bit of music jam in the morning. So that was great.
What time is it there, Christine?
It is.
What time is it there in the U.S.?
It's 6 a.m.
Wow. Okay, so again, massive thank you for getting up so early, and I do apologize for messaging you. I must have messaged you around sort of 3 a.m. With the links and stuff. So anyway, Christine, thank you so much again for sending over, what I just read out. Again, having spending the time with us and getting up so early. Christine, I'm a massive fan of the stuff that you're doing around neurodiversity and the content that you're sharing. It'd be great if you could just introduce yourself and tell the listeners a little bit about you. That would be amazing.
No, I'm so inspired by you as well, Darren, and all that you're doing for neurodiversity. So good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to meet you. I wish I could see faces, but please always know you can reach out afterwards. But yeah, a little bit about me. I say my life why. I think you started with your life why, Darren, around, why you're doing this. And it's the same for me. Mine's all around, how can we really create a unified world where neurodivergent individuals are seen and heard, valued, and celebrated and loved, like what I said in that statement, because that's how humanity can thrive. This has been my personal why. I'm a DEI practitioner to start, but how I got into this was actually because of my son. My son is autistic, and he is just an amazing gift to us, to our family. And I see so much beauty that comes from his brain, from the differences that he brings. And I'm like, man, the world needs to really appreciate and celebrate that difference. And so that's become my mission, is to learn from other neurodivergent individuals. I became a life coach, life and leadership coach, specifically for neurodivergent individuals, as well as their allies. So whether it's their leaders, their parents, their spouses, because it's collectively together that we can all help each other thrive. And so I'll stop there.
No. Honestly, I find it incredibly fascinating. So what, if you don't mind sharing, what age is your son?
So he's 8 at the moment, and so he was kind of officially diagnosed at 3 years old. He was nonverbal until 5. And again, like I go back to, he is my reason why I was meant to do what I was to do in this world. And I actually have a family history of also amazing neurodivergent individuals in my life. And so, whether it's been ADHD, OCD, I mean, there's so much breadth to neurodiversity. It's not only autism, right? Like with dyslexia and there's just so much power to these neurological differences that, again, it's often unseen, it's invisible, right? Most oftentimes. And there's so much stigma around it. Like I was just reading a statistic again, these stats change all the time, but what I've last read was 1 in 8 people in the world globally are neurodivergent, have these differences.
Wow.
And experience, again, what I've read, they experience exclusion, they experience just stigma. They don't want to talk about it. Many actually go beyond, into their adult years, never even getting diagnosed, right? Because they're, whether it's their culture or just their upbringing, or, they didn't find the resources, or their culture didn't accept the fact that these neurological differences are appreciated, and celebrated. And so there's just so much work to be done, right? To elevate, to bring awareness, acceptance, allyship, just so much work to do to continue on this journey of really elevating these voices.
and you mentioned around the kind of the age, kind of the age barrier, and it almost feels that you get to a certain age and, that diagnosis then, I don't know, like I remember my diagnosis at 36, 37, and it was purely, it became this kind of interesting kind of, what is this? It wasn't the fact that I kind of joined, I was employed and then suddenly they were rolling out kind of neurodiversity training or anything else like this. And I thought, oh, maybe I'm, dyslexic or have ADHD. So it was more, investigative for me to find out around my own diagnosis. But you are right that I suppose we get to an age, maybe, and then there either needs to be a point or a trigger, or it just goes undiagnosed for a long, maybe forever.
No, and what I find, especially in my life coaching, is a self-acceptance piece, right? It's like for so long, what I hear a lot of neurodivergent individuals say, it's like I was always kind of considered the weird one, or like, the one that I just didn't. I always felt like I was alone. Like, am I the only one that thinks this way? And it's like there's so much beauty in that, and part of that comes with self-acceptance and doing the inner work on ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so passionate about life coaching, because I ask a lot of deep questions, because it's not only the society around you, but also what you believe that's true to you. And for so long, that narrative in a neurological brain has been kind of just all over, like saying, wait, I'm not this, I can't do this, is what society has been portrayed upon it. And so anyway, I love is like that belief around you are loved, you are amazing, your unique brain is your inner genius. And like, I love that you're gonna put that on your vision board, Darren, because that is what
it's definitely going on, honestly. Absolutely. With regards to, I'm really intrigued, when you say about the deep questions that you ask, and I can imagine that's quite an emotional journey that someone's going on, because you're almost, breaking away from the normality of what you perceived is normal in the sense of, when I say normal, I mean, the way that you dealt with situations. And then it's a case of where actually, you kind of delve into that person. I can imagine that can be quite an emotional process.
It is, and that's where the kind of the journey begins, right? When you're ready to do that inner work, and with a guided, professional coach, right? So like I always say, there's many people in your life that you could need. It could be, it's not only one person, right? You need, I find like there's like a team, right, that you need behind you to really help you elevate. So it could be, your family, understanding, from society, right? Like having a life coach potentially, or other, it could be also a therapist, or, a psychologist. Like there's so many team of people, because again, I talk about this because I'm a mental health advocate. So I never shy away. If we need to find a psychiatrist, a psychologist, it is okay. We want that team. So I think that it's a team of people that really care. And then as well as you are part of that equation to say, let's come together and help you thrive. That's how you can reach your full potential, and we're all here to contribute our unique gifts, and we all need a team to get there. So I'll have one aspect to that team is through this life coaching, where again going deep within ourselves, asking the questions, and it's I help them do the work. Like I'm not giving them advice. I'm really just asking these empowering questions.
And it's so important. That element is so important. If we think about, if we went, say, business terms, I guess, and we're looking for, a coach or consultant in some aspects, they do, they offer fantastic within what they're offering, but the value really comes with, what someone can kind of unearth themselves, and, some of their ideas and some of the answers that they can find it. I've just found over the years, it's been those elements have been really, really, really powerful. I guess we're always kind of looking for someone to just give us all the answers quick. We're in this world now where everything's done instant. We want, if I know in my household, if the broadband speed drops within a nano, it's everyone's kind of upset. But as you mentioned, delving into someone and getting someone to give these answers can be incredibly rewarding.
And again, it's a team, right? We need like a team of people. We need the people to also give advice. Like, so I just find that this has been kind of my strengths, really asking with curiosity, and this is kind of where my passion lies, where I can really help neurodiversity. So that's why I wanted to kind of kick off maybe an exercise around, positive affirmations. And I actually have a tool. So, if people want to actually go there and say, what's a positive affirmation I can use today? There is a tool on my website. So if you go to igniteinclusion.com, I have a tool that actually can create your own positive affirmations. So Darren, like if you wanted to actually create yours and put it on your own vision board, you can go there. But that's a start. Like I remember, I'll share with you a story because this is how powerful positive affirmations are.
Please.
When my son again was diagnosed, for me, I was just learning about autism and the beauty around neurodiversity. And my grandmother, she was 55 years old and came to the United States. We're Armenian, and coming to the U.S., right? She didn't know a word of English. She had to start over really with her life. Like, can you imagine, right? Being 55 and saying, I'm going to start in a whole new country I know nothing about and don't even speak the language. And she was just a phenomenal woman. And when my son, she's just, was so wonderful with him. They were best friends. Even when he was nonverbal, she would always tell him, Zach, you are out of the ordinary and you're simply extraordinary. You're exactly what this world needs. That was her line. And she would say this, of course, in Armenian, but when you translate it to English, that's what the saying is. And, that power for him, just even listening to that, right? Like, I mean, it was just so, and then for me, like, it was like, she would remind me, she said, Christine, remember, he is out of the ordinary, simply extraordinary, and he's exactly, and that was like, I remember just, I'm trying not to cry because every time that saying comes, I cry. So when she passed away 2 years ago, this power of like affirmations are so important, like, I am enough, I am loved, and so saying these to yourself, like, I can control my own happiness, right? Like, there's so much power to that. So every morning, what I do with my son before he goes to school, I say, what's the positive affirmation for today? And now, he's able to share vocally. And, like yesterday, he's still sleeping because it's not school time yet. But yesterday, he goes, I am brave. And I go, that's it. I love it. And I'm going to do that too. I'm going to be brave with you today. And so there's just so much power to starting the day with a positive affirmation or a mindfulness practice, right? Like breathing techniques, very, very important to stay centered. I do yoga with my son. Like every morning we get up, we do our yoga, we do our breathing together. Because he gets up early. He gets up around 6:30 US Eastern time. And so it's just nice to have this bonding time and develop this just belief within himself that he is very much valued and his gift be contributed.
That and I'll just to share it. Adrian Trey says, "Love, I am enough." Those positive affirmations and are so powerful. And we touched on kind of mental health element, which is so prevalent. I know from myself, I do. I wish I did it more. It's probably my kind of ADHD, so I really kind of have to push myself for meditation and relaxation and trying to just concentrate on positive stuff, even if I'm starting to get down or you're starting to kind of get a little bit muggy. I tend to try and put on some comedy or something that I know that will take me to live in the moment. Those positive things, things when I hear stuff, it's so important to our mental health and confidence.
Yes, but most of it, and exactly to your point, it doesn't have to be even meditation, just ways to help you pause for a moment. It doesn't even have to be long. Like I do, like for my son as well. Like he isn't able to attain the attention for that long, but I'll just say focus on one object in the room. Doesn't have to be anything. Just focus on one object, and we do just breathing for 5 seconds in. And then breathing out for 7 seconds. And we do that 3 times. And that's it. It takes less than a minute.
That's so powerful. Some people, and I know we live very, very busy lives, and people say, "Well, I haven't got time to breathe." I know I've been guilty of this. I haven't got time for doing breathing exercises, but I'm breathing while I'm saying that I haven't got time to do these things. So it is. So do you have a kind of a morning kind of routine and kind of a ritual in that sense? Would you say that that's really helped and it's a really good kind of powerful kind of thing to set the day up? Is that do you miss it when you don't do it if you didn't have a chance to do it?
Yeah, most of that is how we start our day. I find that's a way for us to ground our family. Like, when we can start with just some breathing exercises before the chaos happens, right? Like we've got school and work and activities. And I mean, and then we had homeschooling for a year. I mean, it was a morning ritual, and especially for my son who values routines. Like that's his strength, right? He lives on routines. Yeah. And developing these habits with him that he enjoys, I've found him, it's almost a way that he's been able to get through the year of just so much unknowns. And one day, they're saying what to do this, and another day to say that. And just the flexibility has been really tough for him just in the States. Yeah. So having our morning routine and being very specific around this grounding and just breathing exercises and like we do a couple yoga poses, we do 5 yoga poses together, and that's it. And then we do the positive affirmations, simple things, but it's been like, he almost tells me when I forget to do a positive affirmation, it's like, Mom, you need to say the positive affirmation for
how wonderful.
And
yeah.
He'll remind me every single time that we have to say it. And so it's this it's amazing to see already at this age, he's only 8 years old, but really living in that he's capable of doing anything that he wants to do. So
and that, that in itself at 8 years old, and having those positive affirmations and that confidence within that, that will help mentally kind of be able to kind of take on some of the challenges, going forward, just in life. I mean, just not on a neurodiverse element of it. And I wish, for me, I guess, school was a real struggle for me. Didn't was kind of separated into a kind of a unit, a classroom, so to speak, a makeshift classroom. So that isolation really kind of knocks your confidence, and you have to kind of have that self-belief that you're kind of worthy, I guess, to everyone else, and it can be really, really difficult.
No, so I really appreciate you sharing your story about just struggles in school, because they are very much real. And there's a whole probably another podcast that we do on education around, learning differences, because I think there is some opportunity there that we bring, just similar to what we do in organizations, Darren, right? Like there's a lot of opportunities to bring different ways of learning to schools. I'll share with you another quick story, if you don't mind, about schools, because I think that mindfulness, not only does it have to be, from my perspective, again, needs to be a practice that we do in organizations as adults. Like we forget to breathe, we forget to, right, pause, even in moments, right? Like when we all have biases, right? Like taking these intentional pauses and asking ourselves, like, what perspective am I missing in the room? Like what can I, what question can I ask with curiosity? I mean, these are all mindful moments, right, that we have to do in organizations better, but also needs to happen in schools. Like I'll share a quick story with my son, like, because he also has sensory dysfunction. So yes. For him, which many autistic individuals also have. For him, when he was starting preschool, so this was a preschool that I decided I wanted him to go into a typical classroom with other neurotypical children. Yeah. And he was the first neurodiverse child at this school. And I said, I'm going to bring in an aide. So I was very fortunate enough to have a autistic support aide that attended the classroom. So for me, I was like, okay, well, we have a trampoline or a whole section, a yoga ball that has ways for him to, be able to take that stimulation a little bit so that he could focus in the class. They were very accommodating. Like, of course, we'll have him, on the side, do that before he joins circle time. So on the first day of school, I am so nervous. I'm going, okay, I've got all the supplies there. I've got my aide there. Okay, like, how is he going to do? So I'm looking and peeking through the window. And this is where the magic happens. And this is where I use the story of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because diversity, first of all, the school was very much accommodating, right? Saying this is the first time we're having a neurodivergent child in our school. We are welcoming it. The principal was like, we want him here. We want him to thrive. So, right, bringing diversity into the school, number one. Second, the equity. They were very much like, well, we unfortunately can't provide that, but we can give the equity. So providing supplies, so we had the equity there in the classroom to give him. We had the aid, we had, different ways. We had like a lap dog where we would put like a toy lap dog so he could help focus, right? So we had all these things in the classroom. But this is where the magic happens. On the first day, he's starting to do these yoga poses and jumping on the trampoline. We had a mini trampoline there. And instead of the teacher saying, okay, Zach is doing that in the corner while we're doing circle time, what does she do? She says, you know what, everyone, stop what you're doing. We're gonna all do what Zach is doing. We're gonna do meditation and we're gonna do some yoga poses. And so all the kids are like, yes, they're all like doing breathing. They're doing little 4-year-olds are doing yoga poses, right? And Zach, again, he was nonverbal at the time. He was laughing. He was like just having such a blast. And that's the inclusion part, right? Like he felt that he belonged on the first day. So the power of that equation, right? And that's what I want in every classroom. I want every child, right? What you experienced, Aaron, back when you were like, you were just saying, I would love to kind of dig into more about that, but like that needs to happen more. That needs to, question how can instead of separate, right? Like all do this together and learn. And there is value to doing it together because
that's absolutely incredible. That warms my heart. To that element, you don't realize how much that helps that individual. To have that inclusion element. I think the isolation element, the separation side of it. I know we've had some amazing previous guests, and they've given us kind of an analogy on why some people have the separation, why people don't. And for me, I guess it was, when I say separation, they come in and they say, well, actually, you're not going to be doing this lesson. You're going to be going and getting support in another lesson. But for me, it was a case of, for 5 years with my secondary education, was separation. I think I was allowed to do PE, so physical education, drama, and arts. Those were the 3 lessons that I was allowed to do. The rest of the lessons were technically kind of highbrow, so maths, English, humanities, geography, science, all eliminated through a choice of that I wasn't a disruptive child. It was just when I got there, I was kind of just didn't get it. And I guess they just, at the time when I went to school, we're talking kind of 1980s, early 1990s, there was an element where, it probably just looked like I was disruptive or I just wasn't trying. So the separation element can really, really affect a child's confidence.
Yes. There's just Darren, I really hope that you can be that voice too, to share that experience with universities, I don't know if you do much around with schools, but certainly I think there's a huge opportunity to continue doing more of that work across the community.
Massive advocate for education, and I think I've spoken to just over 80,000 students over the past 6-7 years. So I don't, and this is where I, like yourself, I see the positive in the situation. I understand the situation and I respect the decision, but I kind of move on and try and see the more positive elements, within life. So I'm a massive advocate for education and awareness and trying to bring that neurodiversity element into the schools and understanding. So I don't hold any ill feelings.
Well, that's what I love about just about yourself, Darren, what you do, because it's when times when we can that's how we can stay mentally resilient, right? Is when we're able to take our situations and really like give back and find ways to help bring awareness, whether it's change. So similar to you, with my son as well, like, I was like, how come we're not celebrating Neurodiversity Week, right? Like that was in March in our school. And I was so thankful. I was like, I'm going to send an email to our school, district. And all of a sudden there we are, I'm meeting with our new chief diversity officer. And he's like, we're going to do it for the entire district. So there we are, we're celebrating, Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month. I don't even say awareness anymore, but this is for the entire district. And now we have Dr. Temple Grandin, who is, one of the most, well-known autistic individuals who's done so much great work, coming on Friday to our school. I mean, it's just fantastic where change happens, right? With one person saying, why, and challenging that and saying, let's celebrate these differences as well. And so you can, whether it's yourself as an advocate, whether you are a neurodiverse person, you can start that. You can, have the power, feel like you have the power to.
Absolutely. No, and that's truly wonderful. And I guess, a lot of the work that we do with, organizations, and I always say whenever an organization will contact myself and say, can you help us with neurodiversity? Can you help us with awareness? Can you help us? It's almost all these different questions. And I always say, the first thing we need to do is to start the conversation, because once you can start the conversation, then you can know exactly what you need to do to kind of try and help and support. And you hit the nail on the head. Exactly. Why aren't we celebrating this? Why aren't we talking about this? And then from that one conversation, those things happen. That's incredible.
Yes, it's so true, right there. And just one comment. I mean, just what you've started with all the work that you're doing, and one story at a time, you're giving it up in a platform for people to share their story, their perspective, because we all have different dimensions to ourselves, different experiences, just different ways of even looking at neurodiversity, right? Like there's so many layers to us. So just bringing to life like people's journeys and what we're learning throughout the way. I find that type of community is so needed, especially in the neurodiversity world. I remember when my son was diagnosed, I didn't have a community. I didn't really know anybody because no one talks about it. It's like, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I even have like family members who are telling me they're neurodivergent, and I never knew. So it's like this. It's been my kind of also my why of how do we bring just again the acceptance to share our unique stories and know that they are valued and that we can learn from each other. Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you think, because I get, I've been kind of talking about neurodiversity now, probably kind of full time. I don't know if you use terminology full time, but really kind of ramping up the awareness for about 2 years now. And people think, how do you make those connections? How do you become an ambassador for this? How do you do, all these things? And I think it just starts small. I mean, and not, completely understanding that each and every person can do, it doesn't have to be jumping on a plane, flying out to Kenya, and putting on an event or anything. It could just be starting a conversation in, not just, but, having a conversation in the school, or having a conversation with a student, having a conversation, and then it's amazing. It's like a seed in a flower. It just grows. It just grows and grows and grows.
Oh, exactly. So true. It's, there's a saying where it's like, I think Mother Teresa said it, where it's like you drop a pebble, one pebble, and you can see the rip into the water, and then you see the ripples of just continue on. So it's like with one drop of a small pebble into the water, you're creating a change that's creating ripples, and that's so true. Like again, it's that one small action, that one small conversation that you have that can affect a person, who then affects another 5 people, who does another 5 people, and then it becomes this ripple effect where all of a sudden now it's now the community talking about it. Similar to again what happened in our school district. It was like not only myself, but there was a couple of us that brought up the attention, and all of a sudden we're like, whoa, this is now the entire district that is celebrating, and it's so encouraging because that can be in an organization, right? It can be in so many different avenues where so if there's someone out there today, right, it's like, okay, if you're at work or wherever you are, what are you going to do today to start or throw in that little pebble to create that ripple effect for not only for yourself or for others around neurodiversity? And so
you're so right. The whole point of these, when I started these neurodiversity stories was, kind of literally just to kind of start the conversation and hear people's stories around neurodiversity, but also their thoughts and kind of how they're, some of the challenges that they find, some of the success that they have. And I'm a big believer in taking stock, I guess. I mean, and kind of stopping. I never used to be. I used to be grow, fast. And there's still an element of that to me. But I always kind of try and take stock and think, okay, so what have we created? What can we do? How have we helped? What can we do better? What can we, move forward on? And I think those elements, and I guess you don't realize how much something is grown until people reach out.
I totally agree. I mean, I'm similar that way, Darren. It is sometimes we're so focused on, because we're so passionate about this work, right? It's like, what are we gonna do next? What do we gotta do next? What do we gotta do? And just stop and think about, wow, look at the ripples that we've just created, right? And like really appreciate and celebrate the moments that that we're having, in those. So I totally hear you with that piece. And just like with the term neurodiversity, right? Like that came from Judy Singer, I believe, back in, I think it was 1990s, right? And she coined that term. And look at it today. I mean, I hope that she's, celebrating like what she, put forth out there, and she kind of changed the entire conversation and brought this to life. And so I love to sometimes dig into the past, right? To appreciate the present and then where we're going in the future, because there's so many pioneers before us that have helped us get to this point today. Like I even look at myself, like there's so many people out there that didn't even have some of the support systems that my son has, and look at how those people advocated to get that, so that now my son has that, right? And so what am I personally doing today to help the future generations get additional allyship and support and advocacy? And so I'm very passionate about, every person has the power to change something in the world, and like to make it a better place for the future, and for the present. And so it's so interesting to see all that journey unfold.
I completely agree. And I guess, I guess I didn't realize how, when I kind of found out about dyslexia and ADHD and neurodiversity, I went on kind of a bit of for a whole year, it kind of went crazy, created a gala ball, flew to Kenya, Malawi, America, all these different things that we did. And I guess I wanted to understand dyslexia is not, kind of is in entirety, how it kind of is supported in different countries. And we were meant to be shooting a documentary, but with the current situation, that's kind of put on hold at the moment. But it wasn't until I went to Kenya and I met Phyllis and Nancy, who run the Rare Gem Talent School, and then Jiranji, who runs an organization in Malawi, when I was able to kind of go over to Kenya and Malawi and understand how dyslexia is perceived over there. They're really kind of, I felt in a way, I mean, they're doing phenomenal jobs, but they're really kind of banging their head against the wall with the whole structure and the industry over there, purely because of the awareness, because it just doesn't deem, I mean, we're very fortunate in the UK. Yes, there's still lots to be done, and we have some amazing organizations. But I feel we're very fortunate in some aspects. But when we go to Kenya and Malawi, they're really early on in the start of their journey.
Well, it's fantastic. I think that's just so fantastic to, bring your expertise there. And again, you're throwing in the ripple, right, of creating putting in the small pebble to create that ripple for them. And sometimes that could be scary, right? It's like, well, I cannot change the world. Yes, you can. Through one action, you can. Because look, you've already started a conversation there that's leading to a potential documentary, share their stories. And so I certainly think that there has to be more access and more opportunities, and so we can have a part in that. And I feel like it's our almost a humanity, like a duty for us to do that. I can't sleep at night when I know what am I doing to help neurodiversity in that sense, because the access part, the equity part, really sometimes lose sleep over that, because I look at my son and the equity that he's had, and then many, many places that don't have those resources, right? Like, and it's through various aspects, and that's, to me, not okay, right? So what can I help in that equation to provide more opportunities for other children?
Absolutely. And I guess, for me, I've been amazed with I love connecting people with people. I know, and we've had this conversation, we don't know all the answers, we don't have all the answers to everything, but it's amazing when you can kind of own that and you say, look, I don't know, I can, but however, and then something pops up and you go, actually, this person would be great to connect with this person. And then you see that flourish, and the help that it gives is that in itself is your why, really, isn't it?
Right. Most definitely. It's the collaboration of people. My story is my story. It's just from my lived experience, my perspective. But I meet so many amazing individuals, and I learn so much more about just the layers of neurodiversity, right? Like, I just love hearing about your story, Darren. I'm like, I just want to dig in more with you and learn a little bit more about it, and just like really being empathetic. Like I use empathy a lot, like compassion a lot. Like whenever I do a framework with neurodiversity, I say there's 3 things that we should all do: awareness, acceptance, and allyship. And part of the acceptance piece is like, how are we really truly showing up every day with compassion and empathy? Like if we can all start conversations there, right, through compassion for ourselves, compassion for others, and compassion within just, again, conversations. Like we learn so much through that piece. And so I say really, start every conversation with empathy and understanding of that other person's perspective.
I couldn't agree more. I'm just going to share Adrian's comment because I think it's really lovely. Adrian Chase, it says, Christine, I love your energy and your self-belief in how you think and live. Telling your story is so powerful. I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for sharing that, Adrian. And also as well, guys, I really do appreciate, there was a few comments, and I know that we have people in Australia and over in South Africa, and I know you popped it in your different time zones. So I really do appreciate you tuning in and sharing our time with us. Christine, how difficult do you think it is? And I know we touched on it before, but it's something that I struggle with, I guess, in living in the moment. Okay. I practice it. I want to. I tend to, whenever I go to a beach, for instance, I tend to pick up a pebble, and I'll try and turn my phone off. I'll pick up the pebble and I'll just stare at the pebble. And I know it seems a bit crazy, but I stare at the pebble and I listen to the sea. I'm looking at this pebble and I'm thinking, I'm looking at the whole kind of the history of the pebble, or, the shape or the shininess. And for those couple of minutes when people are walking by thinking, what am I doing looking at a pebble? That it's those little moments when I actually think, I'm living it literally in the moment. And then, do you have any kind of things that you do that kind of help? Not necessarily holding pebbles, but something that gets you to live in the moment.
I love that. I think that anything that helps you stay focused. This is a practice that I am challenged with every day as well. And I think that's a similarity I think most people tend to do, right? We're always so focused on the next thing, just looking into the future. And so it's really, and I think from at least from this year, I think it's really taught us that is stay in the present. Stay, at least what it's done for me, from my perspective, is really living day to day, and saying take one day at a time, really focus on this moment. And so even for me, I'll share with you where we live, there is a beautiful trail right by our house. It's got waterfalls and we've lived here, my husband and I, with our children, 12 years, and we did not know it existed.
Wow.
So we have to do this, we have to do that. And last year, when pandemic started in March, we discovered that. And it was a huge awakening for myself, saying, what else am I missing out on? Because I'm not staying in the present, because I have missed this for 12 years. And this is the most serene, beautiful trail I've ever seen. So I go walking on my trail now every day. I carve it out of my calendar every day, because that's the way for me to stay in the present and say, let me take this moment. I do my meditation, as I said, in the morning with my affirmations, but it's so amazing how the beauty is missed sometimes when we're rushing through life. So that's been a really big awakening for me last year. And it's a constant practice that I'm trying to hold to.
That's incredible. But you're absolutely right. I also find photography. Now I love nature and I love taking pictures. It's very sort of amateur, but I know that if I've got my my mobile device and I'm taking a shot, I tend to be distracted with the shiny screen and everything that's going on. But when I've got my actual camera, that moment of looking through the lens and just waiting for the precise moment, because I like taking pictures of, say, animals just about to move, or their actions. So it's almost like storytelling. So I wait for that moment, that precise moment when the bird's going to fly off, or the squirrel's going to jump, or anything else. And for me, living in that lens and those few moments, that for me gets me to live in the moment.
Wow, it's so beautiful, Darren. I would say, like, to the audience who's watching, like, really, right? Like, what can you do today to take that pause and, like, really see that beauty that comes through, and put things aside, like, whatever you got going on, and just focus on whatever it is. Like, for me, I play piano, so sometimes, like, I just sit at the piano, and honestly, my worries go away, Darren. It is like such a peaceful place for me, is my piano, and I'll sit there and play. I'm very much into classical music, and I'll play a classical piece. And
Love it.
it's like all my worries go away. And that's part of my childhood. My parents, when they moved here to the US, my mom was a pianist, and it was her way of therapeutic, process. And I do that with my son. Music is such a healing power, right? Huge. And so, whether it's music or nature, like, I find that anytime that we take a pause, like, find ways that bring, that type of joy in your life, through creative outlet that is helpful.
It's something. Do you know what? It's something that I've always wanted to learn. I used to play around with the keyboard when I was a child, and piano is definitely something that I'm definitely going to be investing my time in. And classical music, I am a massive fan. Classical music for me is like an hour's worth of meditation in 5 minutes. It just feels. It literally just takes me away.
I love it. Yes. I'm so appreciative of anyone. So there's not a lot of people that sometimes like classical music. So I'm always appreciative when I meet someone.
I've shared this before, just ever so quickly. So I listen to classical music when again, with the sensory side of it, for me, if I'm in large, noisy places, I then need to kind of go away and kind of, center again and get some kind of quiet time. So I tend to put classical music in. So when I'm working as well, I tend to listen to classical music, but it's always just the instruments. And then when I'm out walking and it's a bit more upbeat, then it'll be words. And so it's a different level of classical music that I tend to listen to. So yeah.
I love that. And that is so beautiful that you figured that out for yourself, Darren. I would say, like, for people who haven't done that, like, explore that, because like, even, there's a lot of places that we go, right? And there isn't moments where you can take that pause. Like, I remember my son, like, we were challenged. We couldn't take him a lot of places because there was no sensory, like, centering area. So, what we find is we're trying to be creative and find these opportunities, some moments where we can take this pause and really, like, we would bring, our music with us, or have a quiet space that we would find. But yeah, it's knowing that you need that. That's gonna fuel you for the rest of the day. Absolutely. And being very diligent, right, around taking that for yourself, because that's really important for self-care.
I think it's kind of, I think it's that self-taught. I was kind of trying to find ways of being able to, because I would go to events, or I would do other things. And I think, my goodness, I felt really kind of overpowered. And I thought, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And then I found a solution, noise defect, headphones that block out a lot of the outside noise were the best investment ever for me, because it just literally it took me away from the moment for 5-10 minutes to then kind of regroup and come back.
Yes, I'm so glad that it does that for you, because we have them as well, and it's been so wonderful to just block out and just have the moment for yourself that's very peaceful and centering. So
absolutely. Christine, we're coming up to our time. I know when we came on before we went on live, we said we can speak all day, and I know we so many similarities and so many things that we could talk on, and I haven't even touched on a lot of the questions that I was going to ask. So it'd be amazing if I could invite you back at some point on the stories. And but I hope you've enjoyed being on the stories.
Thank you so much, Darren. This has been an amazing conversation. And yes, I feel like we can talk all day long, and maybe next time we bring our pianos together, we'll do a little lesson.
You'll be a lot better than I would. Maybe I need to sharpen up and get practicing.
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. No, we'll jam out. But thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure just talking to you, and thank you for all the work that you're doing around neurodiversity. And I love just being a champion for the people that come to you, and for the audience that you have. So thank you so much for having me.
You're most welcome. Christine, if someone wants to connect with you, how can they connect?
So I'm on LinkedIn. You can type in my name, Christine Ramsay, or you can go to my website, igniteinclusion.com. And all my information is there, my Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. So, and
I will put all of Christine's details into the links, and then we do repurpose this into onto YouTube, and then we create a podcast as well. So if you're watching on YouTube or listening on podcasts, please do reach out to Christine and connect. It'd be amazing. Christine, thank you so much indeed for your time, and it's been absolutely amazing. And I hope you have an incredible rest of the day. Thank you so much for getting up so early to join me.
I'm up, so no worries. It was an energizing way to start my day. So thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
So guys, that was Christine. I know you would have enjoyed that just as much as I did. Absolutely incredible lady who's doing phenomenal work in the neurodiversity world. So please do connect with her and reach out. So guys, this has been another Neurodiversity Stories. We will be back next Friday at 11 a.m. UK time. It would be amazing if you can join us. Take care, have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you soon. Cheers, bye-bye.